I have been on an adventure to go through all of the Final Fantasy and RPGs that I missed, and currently I have been playing Final Fantasy, the 4 Heroes of Light on the Nintendo DS, and in today's video, I'm going to give you what my feelings are so far with this game. So with that being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, got you covered with timestamps down below, so if there's a certain section you want to skip to, feel free. All I ask is for you to support the channel and hit that like button, and if you want to stick around for some Final Fantasy, some RPG content, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button. So let's dive in to Final Fantasy and the 4 Heroes of Light. So like I've said, I'm diving into games that I've just completely missed, that passed me by, and Final Fantasy, the 4 Heroes of Light is one of those games, and I've got to be honest, I'm pleasantly surprised on how much I'm enjoying this game so far, and I want to go into the reasons why. But before we do that, let's dive into the story, let's have a look at the characters and see what it's all about. Now I'm going to go like I always do when it comes to story with some of these games, and I'm going to read you the synopsis on the back of the game. This is the tale of their legendary quest. In the small kingdom of Horn, Brant awakes on the morning of his 14th birthday. Today is the day he becomes an adult, and the custom of the realm says he must go to the castle to present himself to the king. Now that is the most briefest introduction of a synopsis I've ever seen on the box art, but it truly does set the scene of what this game is. It feels like classic Final Fantasy, it really does, and you really feel that as you're playing the game. It's certainly something that I felt with the characters, the NPCs, and everything else in between. We get to play as 4 characters, we get to meet other guest characters along the way that join our party on this adventure, but it definitely feels classic Final Fantasy. What do I mean when I say classic Final Fantasy? I'm talking about anything from Final Fantasy 1 through to 6. That 8-bit period where it was simple times, but complex stories. But this is a simpler story. I would put it on par with it, maybe feeling like a reboot of the first Final Fantasy. If you were to reboot the Final Fantasy franchise, this would probably be the first game in the reboot, if that makes sense. So with the story and the characters aside, I don't want to dive in too much because I'm still experiencing it, I'm having a good time, I want to see where it all goes. Let's talk about the gameplay, and the gameplay is definitely where it surprised me. Let's talk about the exploration of Final Fantasy and the 4 Heroes of Light. I am a sucker for a world map, and Final Fantasy, the 4 Heroes of Light delivers on a world map. We have an overworld, we get to traverse, we get to go towns, locations, dungeons, we get vehicles, and everything you would expect from a Final Fantasy, a classic Final Fantasy anyway, when it comes to an overworld. Random encounters also come with this. And yeah, it's just a nice world to traverse. Each locale feels different. It just feels like I'm going through a world. And when it comes to towns, the NPCs all have something to say when it comes relating to the story. Maybe they have a personal stake in that. But when it comes to like looking for chests and little secrets, they're there too. There's always an NPC that are in these towns that's saying that, hey, I've hidden some items in this town. If you can find all 8 of them, I've got a gift for you. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to find them. And I can't usually find them. I can usually get like all of them except 2. So I have to resort to looking at a strategy guide just to point me in the right direction. But there are secrets, nuts and crannies for you to find in this world. Before I finish talking about exploration, I need to touch on the dungeons because I feel like this is probably where it knocks it a step back a little. They're very bland, they're very samey. With the random encounters tossed in there as well, it can get quite frustrating. I know it's classic RPG with random encounters and all of that. I get it, but sometimes it can be quite frustrating, especially these dungeons being very one-dimensional and not really having a clear path on where to go. There was a dungeon where I kept looping back on myself and I was like, what on earth am I supposed to be doing here? And then eventually I realized I had to just take an extra turn somewhere. But it's just, I don't know, I didn't really like the dungeon design, and I think it brought the exploration down just a little bit of a notch. From exploration, let's talk about the combat. Now, the more I've played of this, the more I'm truly thinking, and after doing a little bit of research, that this really does feel like a Bravely Default beta. We have a action point system here. So we have little dots that are filled up underneath our name in combat. when we use an action that we've learnt, it uses some of that. An attack usually costs 1, an ability usually costs 2. And the way that we gain these points back is that we have to take a turn just to defend. Again, this concept evolved into what Bravely Default did with the Bravely and the default system, but this is very basic when it comes to that. And it works. It works for the game. It can be a little bit frustrating sometimes because there are little things to the combat that can be frustrating, like we can't target enemies. It all works on an AI. We can't target who needs healing, but the AI has been very good to say like, hey, that guy's pretty weak, we're going to heal him first. It's not gone like rogue and started healing someone with full health. So it works to a certain degree, but I do like that freedom of choice when it comes to using any kind of turn-based battle system, but the fact that I can't select enemies brings it back a little bit. But again, I've not had any issues where I'm like, the AI's really screwed me over. There's also another system where you can kind of get a bit of a psych up with your stats randomly increase and you get bigger of attack. You can do some criticals left, right, and center. It's a very simple battle system, essentially. Again, a very Bravely Default beta feel to it, but it works. When it comes to the boss fights have felt quite long-winded, I think because of all the systems in place, managing those action points and trying to plan on how it's doing. Like even the first boss, I remember just taking me ages and I thought I was going to get a game over, but I had to bide those times, and the fact that I would never run out of MP, so I did have infinite cures as long as I had those action points, really helped out when it came to the battles. I think another thing to note, something that I've not experienced, and I'm sure that maybe some of you in the comment section below will be able to let us know about, is the multiplayer co-op. There was a 4-player local co-op for Final Fantasy and the 4 Heroes of Light. Has anyone tried this? Let me know. I didn't have that experience. I have no friends. So I really want to hear a perspective of what that experience was like, but it's there. And I guess it would work. I don't know. Let me know. Now, before we wrap things up, I've got to talk about the job system, and this is a little bit different. It's the crown system, but essentially it is a job system. There is a plethora of jobs to get in Final Fantasy, the 4 Heroes of Light, and when you equip these jobs, you get new abilities, new stats, but you don't change appearance. You don't really change appearance. You get a new hat. So if I was wanting to be a bard, this beanie would go straight out the window, and I'd be here with a bard hat, shooting arrows and singing songs. That's the way that works. It's not really that bothersome. Like, I would like to have a full equipment change, but I guess the reason why it doesn't do it is because when you equip shields and other weapons, you get to physically see it on your persons, and I like games that do that. So when I'm walking around, I've got a big spear because I've equipped a big spear. I've not constantly got the sword all the time, even though I've equipped something different. So yeah, when it comes to the crown system, the job system, very basic, very drawn back. Again, very Bravely Default beta-ish. Like, they had the concepts here and they did definitely evolve upon these when going to Bravely Default. But I had a good time experimenting with different jobs and mixing and matching and seeing what was best used in each situation and seeing what abilities it brings to the table, because as you level up, you get more abilities and all of that. So the crown system is not a bad system in my mind. We're going to finish off with the music of Final Fantasy and the 4 Heroes of Light. And this, I guess this really wasn't a highlight for the game. I have got the music playing in the background for those that are interested, but there wasn't any very memorable tracks, though I did get the battle theme stuck in my head a lot because I was getting into a lot of random encounters. But all in all, not the best Final Fantasy soundtrack, but a Final Fantasy soundtrack nonetheless. And there we have it. My thoughts and opinions on this fresh take on Final Fantasy and the 4 Heroes of Light. I'm more interested to see if any of you played this when it first came out on the Nintendo DS, or if you've gone to visit it recently. Let me know your thoughts, because again, I really like this. I thought I was going to go into this, and I've seen a few opinions out there saying it's not that great. It's kind of been a guilty pleasure of mine playing it at the moment on DS. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I thank you for watching. If you like the content you're seeing, please hit that like button, and if you want to stick around with the channel that little bit longer, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.